Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about the Legends of Vox Machina, Season 1, Episode 1, for the Amazon Prime show, and I'm going to talk about the best moment in Legends of Vox Machina, Amazon Prime, Season 1, Episode 1, and I'm going to talk specifically about that moment being the introduction of Trinket, Vexalia's animal companion, right? And you're like, wait, Scott, you just did a video on this. Yes, that's correct, but Trinket is so important to the Legends of Vox Machina show that I couldn't even fit all the facets of what I thought about Trinket in one video. So this is another video about the best moment in Legends of Vox Machina, Amazon Prime, Season 1, Episode 1. And we're going to talk deeper about Trinket. So let's talk about Trinket. So Trinket is, he is an armored bear, and he is the animal companion of half-elf ranger, Vexalia, who is voiced by Laura Bailey. And I have to say, I think Vex is my favorite character in the show because she's pure Dungeons & Dragons, unlike a lot of other characters, right? She's an adventurer, right? And then not only is she an adventurer, she knows she's an adventurer, and she doesn't like, oh, I suck. Can I do these things? Oh, she's like, I'm gonna throw down. You about to see some people get wrecked, right? Like, and I'll tell you right now, I understand. I don't understand. Keelan's character just drives me nuts. I'm like, somebody who believed all these horrible things about themselves would not go adventuring. It doesn't make any sense, right? And if they did, they die quick, right? Like when you throw down and you destroy monsters, there ain't no time for a lack of confidence, right? And it drives me nuts. So I love that she's an adventurer. She knows she's an adventurer. I love that she's leadership capability. She's a leader, right? And also I love that half elf is an actual Dungeons and Dragons race, and Ranger is an actual Dungeons and Dragons class. I don't know why that should be a high bar in a Dungeons and Dragons game, but it's crazy. And I'm fully aware of the Pathfinder thing, right? But Percy could have and should have been changed, right, to Dungeons and Dragons when the game went to Dungeons and Dragons, right? And even you could do that narratively in the story. I'm putting these down because they don't make any sense, and I'm picking up a crossbow. Done. Finished. We took all this anachronism out of it, and all I had to do was just beat Taliesin Jaffe and read the player's handbook. That's all I need to do. But apparently that was too much for Taliesin Jaffe. Okay, just billions of dollars on the line, hundreds of millions. I mean, it's possible this could be $1 billion. This, GOAT made, Game of Thrones made $1 billion. So and Critical Role is playing in that space now, a global television show, so literally Taliesin Jaffe reading the player's handbook, there were billions of dollars on the line, right? That's why I keep harping on it. It's it drives me nuts, right? Anyway, all right, so here's the issue, okay? Let's talk about Trinket. So Trinket is incredible, and I recognize a problem with my response to Trinket. So Trinket is the best thing in Legends of Vox Machina, the entire series, right? And the reason why is, unlike any other character, every time he's on screen, it's just delight, and it makes everything better, right? Now, why is that? Why do we as humans have this passionate love for animals, right? And to the point, in my opinion, of a problem, a serious problem, right? I tell you right now, I know for a fact, I've seen it in my life. We definitely have arrived at a place in America where, it's not a joke, low millions of animals are routinely treated far better than American children. That is not a question, right? It's just a fact. I know tons of families who there's no limits for what they will get for their animals, right? And often these families have no children, right? But then you look at other families, and there are absolutely limits on what those kids can get, right? And what they need, right? Sometimes it's the family literally doesn't have the money, right? Sometimes it's they just don't care enough, right? And so I am really terrified of this new America we live in, where routinely animals are treated way better than children, right? There's no limit on what a pet can get, but there's definite hard limits on kids, right? It's just and it doesn't end anywhere. It's incredible, right? There's now a lot of talk about, hey, did we do the right thing for children with this March 2020? We put a ton of restrictions on them, probably more restrictions. They dealt with more restrictions than adults did, right? And pets had none of those restrictions, right? Like, they just lived freely. They had, in fact, pets had a much better March 2020 world than we did. They had entire structures that they didn't have to deal with. Or they were like, you're excused, right? And kids are like, oh, you're going to do more than we even as adults. Like, it's insanity. Like, there's so much happening. It's very frustrating. Okay, all right. So why is this? Well, and I think the reason why I want to identify what is the source of this problem is this is a very real problem. We need to recognize that we need to slow it down, right? Like, we need to treat children better. And frankly, I think we need to step it back on pets. Let's say that flat out, right? Like, I think we're doing too much for pets in America right now, and Trinket reminds me of this, right? And I'm part of the problem because I realize it. Like, when I see Trinket on screen, unlike any other character, it's just pure delight, pure joy. I'm so happy to see him. And no other character is like this. I don't like the human characters as much as I like this animal character, right? But rather than just, like, not think about it, like, Dungeons & Dragons is a mirror. During the game, we see the fantasy world. When the game's over, the game, Dungeons & Dragons, turns and puts a mirror back on us and says, what are you doing in your real life? Are you a real hero? Are you making the right choices? Are you making your insight checks, right? And this is an insight check. We really need to think twice about what's happening with animals, right? So why does this problem happen? Well, I'm going to bring you an answer from my evangelical Christianity, right? I try not to bug you guys with this too much, but I think this is too important to ignore. So the reason why is, as an evangelical Christian, the Bible says, y'alls are all terrible. Like, humans are broken. We have these horrible, terrible, original sin souls, right? And the reality is, every human has this deep, abiding selfishness, right? We have this selfishness in us, and we have this vindictiveness in us, and we have this broken part of us that is like, hey, I see this person has more than me. I want it. I'm going to do either petty, small things to harm them that will be microaggressions, or I'm going to do macroaggressions, right? Now, we are living in a world where macroaggressions are starting to take a backseat, I think, right? But microaggressions are not small, and they can be incredibly damaging to people, right? And so, so we're broken. We are fundamentally broken, right? And when we consume, right, a lot of times we consume to destroy, right? We're like, first, and that's the other thing, is we consume, right? Now, when we consume, food, we can be fair about it, right? Like, I had a burger. There's nothing wrong with that. Cows are completely domesticated, but like veal, right? Like, humans thought up veal, right? Like, I don't know, man. Calves? Like, is there a need for veal? Like that does not seem. We consume in dangerous, predatory ways. And we consume things that aren't food, right? We consume beauty. Like, we're like, oh, I see that beautiful thing, I want to destroy it, right? Because it's more beautiful than me. Or, for some weird reason, I just want this thing destroyed, right? And so we're broken, right? And all of us. And the only thing that ranges from human to human is the frequency, right? Like, do you do this once a year? Do you do this once a season? Do you do this once a month? Do you do this once a week? Or do you do this once a day, right? Like, does your horrible shadow version of yourself come out and wreck, like, terribly dangerous things once a day, right? It's possible. Like, so the only thing that changes between us is our frequency. But animals aren't like this. They are not broken, right? They don't have this sin nature, right? They don't have this fundamentally bad thing in every person that is constantly trying to be suppressed, right? When they consume, they consume to put fuel in their bodies, right? They don't just go out and seek beautiful things and destroy them for the sake of destroying beautiful things, right? So the reality is, animals are lesser creatures, right? They don't have, like, we are created of mind, body, and soul, right? They have mind and body, and we don't even know if they have a soul. We don't know. Well, I guess we do. You know what? It does say that there'll be animals in heaven, so it is possible they have a soul as well. So here's the thing. Jesus Christ came down and died for humans. He did not die for animals. And to me, that is a very true reason to say we cannot equate animals even equal to humans. The worst human is worth more than the best animal, right? And and I'm reminding us of this because I think when I see Trinket, I forget that, right? And Betty White, right? She had a huge platform. She was much beloved. You know what she dedicated herself to? Helping animals. And I'm like, I don't know, like, was that the best use of her time? And really, and here's the biggest thing. At this point, have we arrived in a world where animals need help more than humans? I'm not sure that's the case, because there are rock star animals in every neighborhood now, right? That are just treated better than many American kids. So I really think we should think twice about this. I love Trinket in the show. He is the best thing. He's the best. His introduction is the best moment in Legends of Vox Machina and Amazon Prime Season 1, Episode 1. But his presence there, it's Dungeons & Dragons shouting to us, hey, do you have your priorities right? And I really do think we need to start treating American human children better, and American human pets should get less. I'm going to say it flat out. That's my take. What's your take? What do you think? Right? And what's your opinion on Trinket? I'd love to hear all of that. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.